Hello students, we are learning lesson 7 control and coordination, and this is video 2 of the chapter where we are going to study about the nerve cell. We are going to study about the structure of nerve cell, that is neuron, and its function. So what is nerve cell? Explain the structure and function of the neuron. Now, the function of the nervous system is done by the nerve cells. So, units that make up the nervous system are called nerve cells or neurons. They are the structural and functional unit of nervous system. Structural unit means many neurons together form the nervous system, and the functional unit means the function is done by each and every nerve cell. All the nerve cells together functions, and thus the nervous system functions. They carry the information from one part of the body to another. Let us see the structure of the neuron. See the diagram on page number 115. This is the diagram of neuron. And in the diagram it is there the cell body, dendrite and axon. These are the three parts of the neuron. See the neuron. Neuron has three parts: the cell body, dendrite and axon. Cell body has nucleus and cytoplasm. Dendrite are the short nerve fibers arising from the cell body. Axon are the long nerve fiber arising from the cell body. See the diagram. This is a neuron. Cell body. It has the cytoplasm. This orange part is the cytoplasm, and the nucleus just as the cell of a organism. And it has processes, cell processes, short fibers, nerve fibers. They are called the short fibers. These fibers are called dendrites. And one single long fiber is called axon. Axon is protected by covering of myelin sheath. This is the covering of myelin sheath, which is made up of fat, and then it has nerve endings. And once the nerve endings of the axon gets end, then again another neuron starts. Here again a gap is there, then again another neuron will start where the same structure is going to be repeated. So one neuron is connected, it's not connected physically with the other neuron. A gap is there. This gap is called synapse. This gap in between one neuron and the other neuron, other cell body will start here. This gap is called synapse. So this is the structure. Now see, the axon is covered with insulating and protective sheath. Sheath means covering of myelin around it. Myelin is made up of fat and protein. Let us see the working of the nerve cell. First of all, the neuron gets the information from our environment through the receptors located in the sense organs such as inner ear, nose, tongue, skin, etc. So these receptors are the sensory organs which receives the information, which perceives the environmental changes, and it transmits it to the neuron. So the receptors are like gustatory receptor is there which detect the taste. It is located on the tongue. It detects the taste, whether it is sour, bitter or sweet. And the olfactory receptor detects the smell. It is present in the nose. First of all, this receptor will detect the environmental stimuli, that is environmental changes, and it will bring it to the dendrites. Dendrites are always attached to these receptors. So dendrites acquires the information from the receptor and sets off a chemical reaction. Now if this is the dendrite, with the dendrite the organ is attached. Suppose our hand, the skin is attached. This is the hand. So skin is attached with the dendrite. From the hand, the sensation of, suppose somebody pinches or the mosquito bites, it goes to the this one dendrite. So dendrite will set off a electrical impulse. This message will be converted into electrical impulse, and impulse will travel towards the cell body. It will bring from the sensory organ towards the cell body the messages in the form of electrical impulse. The electrical impulse is then transmitted to the axon. Axon carries away the electrical impulse from the cell body towards the other neuron. Then once it is going from here, the electrical impulse goes from the axon and comes to the nerve endings. So first of all, the receptor cells is connected to the dendrite. In the dendrite, some chemical reaction takes place when it feels the sensation, and this chemical reaction converts the information to electrical impulse. Electrical impulse brings the information towards the cell body, and from the cell body it passes towards the axon in the form of electrical impulse, and once it reaches the nerve endings of the axon, this electrical impulse gets converted into chemicals. Chemicals travels from this nerve ending into the gap called, this gap is called synapse. Synapse. From here again it goes to another neuron. So from here the chemicals goes to the another neuron, and again it gets another neuron, it will touch the dendrite of the neuron, again it gets converted into electrical impulse. Thus it passes from one neuron to another. See how you have to write it. Working of the nerve cell. First of all, the dendrites acquires the information and creates an electrical impulse. This impulse travels from the dendrite to the cell body and then along the axon to its ends. At the end, the axon, the electrical impulse is converted into chemicals. These chemicals crosses the gap that is called synapse and start a similar electrical impulse in the dendrite of the next neuron. So this is how the path of the nervous impulse travels in the body from one neuron to another, and thus from one part of the body to another. A similar synapse finally delivers the impulses from neuron to other cells such as muscle cells or glands. That means what? As I explained you, suppose a mosquito is biting to you on your hand. So the message travels from the dendrite from the cell body towards the axon, from the axon to the nerve endings, from nerve endings to the synapse in the form of chemicals. Then these chemicals will again reach the dendrite of the other neuron, and this neuron will take it towards, suppose this is a neuron attached to your brain, then suppose to your hand. So it is taking it towards the brain. The message is taken towards the brain. So brain will interpret the message and again it will send the message via the motor nerve, the same kind of neurons. The motor nerve is also made up of. The motor nerve will bring the message again from the dendroid towards the axon, towards the cell body, then the dendrite, and again to your hand. Again it reaches to the hand. So the sensory nerve is taking the message towards the brain, and the brain is sending the message of action to be done by the hand, this message towards the hand, and now the hand will pull its muscles and the hand will take off the hand from there so that the mosquito cannot bite you or it kills the mosquito. This is how the action is done. So this diagram you have to draw from the textbook, and the notes already as I have shown you, I will be sending you in the PDF form. And this is the third question. What is nerve cell? Explain the structure and function of the nerve cell. That's all for today's video. Next video we are going to meet again.